Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Miracle, and it's Population Me, and this is a new series I do called Career Chats, where I talk about everything consulting. And if you read the title, we are talking about the top 5 managed consulting jobs that are out there in terms of longevity and also high raising salaries. Because if you know anything about this job market, is that we barely have one. And consulting, while maybe lucrative for some people, might also be a long-lasting career they see themselves doing for many years. And if that's something you want to pursue in the future or even consider doing outside of your own career, then keep watching, because here are the top 5 that we have for us right now. And just a little breakdown, because it does get a little convoluted about the types of consulting and what they do and the pros and cons. We are breaking it down by the consulting name, the big 3 companies, the salaries, and the pros and the cons, so you can make the right choice for yourself and whoever else you need to show this to. So let's get started. Number 1 is management consulting. Now, management consulting is really what it sounds like. You are managing a project that a client brings to you, and you are basically doing A to Z for every need that they have, whatever project they have, from top to bottom. And you are working with them in a long-term sort of event. So 3 of the biggest companies that are in this branch is McKinsey, Banks, and BCG. And within those companies, they have these 3 major salaries. For entry level specifically, it goes from 100K to 150K, depending on the state, but that is the average. And if you are experienced / a professional consultant, the range goes for $250,000 to 400K, which can be a lot for a lot of people, which obviously it is. We also gotta remember that this can ask for up to 10 years of experience with certain backgrounds and maybe an MBA on top of that. Here are the top 3 pros in working management consulting. Number 1 is obviously the pay. That's why we're here for this video. Number 2 is performance bonuses. These are the extra bonus you get for each company that you work for within your project or firm. And in these clients, they might recommend you for them because you're very good at it, or you might finish with a high remarking performance from your client or even your project manager, who say you are ready for the next project. And that can look like a really nice sizable donation to your little bank account in December. And number 3, you get an exit strategy. So in case you ever feel like leaving McKinsey to go to one of the other big 4 huge consulting firms, you have a nice little company on your resume because they are really prestige and they have all the names out there. It's like working for a huge software company to go to either a bigger one or even a smaller one, because that name carries weight with you at all times. But obviously, like every other company, here are some of the cons. Con number 1, it is long hours. Okay, you didn't really think working at these companies are going to be real easy, right? Okay. So for one, you're working 80 plus hours. You're not really having much of a really say to yourself. If you heard from my other videos, you are working as a consultant that seems like a startup for every client that you work with, which means you are starting from the ground up every single time. So what you use in the last company, your last client, may not be used for this client, and you always have to start from ground zero to whatever the top of the building is, right? So that means working weekends, holidays, friends, whatever, your own birthday sometimes. And those can take up a lot of time out your day and out the year. And let's hope those bonuses look real nice, because they're not going to make up for some of the holidays you might miss if you have family or if you have to visit friends. And number 2, because this is a performance-based consulting firm, they always want you to climb the highest you can to these companies. So if you are starting off as entry level and you just get thrown into the wolves, you hope you climb from entry level to a manager by the time that client ends. And yes, you will be starting over when the next client comes around. But for that specific job, they do not want you to stay stagnant. And that may be a good thing for a lot of jobs because they expect you to do better. But these companies expect you to be the best. You are considered the expert of your field. And if you don't show yourself to be like the top dog, even if you're working with 10 other consultants, you will crash and burn and they'll kick you out for the next people. So as lucrative as this company sounds, as nice those paychecks looking, you cannot stay and be manageable here for very long if you're not willing to go above and beyond for the grind it takes to stay in this company, okay? So we love it, but listen, there's a reason why a lot of management firms are in the bigger cities, because the grind never stops. Number 2 is private equity consulting. And for these are your privacy portfolio operations. Think of huge banking, stock market works, investment companies, right? And these are your typical banking companies. Think of your Robinhood, your stock portfolio, any company in those bubbles, they fit in what you're going for. So for the salary, it's a nice little boost from what the first one was. entry level, you're looking somewhere between 150K to 200K per year. And for VP/director, you're looking for 300K to 600K less. And that is a really nice little bonus that you're getting just by helping someone with their own stock portfolio and potentially getting your own little stock portfolio in while you're at it. Because a lot of these companies do sell you their own because, you know, they get a little bonus, they get a little discount on other companies and clients they work with. But here are some of the pros that we have to get into as well to see if it's the right fit for you as well. Number one, they always are looking for clients. If you think being a consultant meant looking for your own job every 2 seconds because you are within a job that needs you to be on a client 24/7, look no further, okay? Private equity consultants, they always have clients. They are always lining out the door looking for someone to help them with their projects, whether it's for a month, a year, or 10 years. And if you're waiting on the bench or you're looking for a job that could be reasonable for you within these companies, they're already there. They're just waiting for you to reach out and get to these jobs. So that makes them a lot lucrative. You're not staying on the bench doing nothing, twiddling your fingers very long because you get something out of this job soon enough. And number two is a lot less competitive than a traditional consulting because one, they're not as put out there, right? You heard the big four consulting companies, the KPMGs, the McKinsey, the Deloitte, they are always getting their names out in the news and they're always pushing more people to join their companies. These private equity companies, they are more on the down low. They're not looking for many people to join their firm, even though they have plenty of people that makes them seem almost understaffed in certain cases, but they also respect the best and they want the best at all times. And they know if people really want to join a company, they will find them by their own selves. So if you are here and you are willing to stay within this company or you want to join a private equity consulting firm, this might also be a best bet, especially if you love banking or finance or anything like that, but don't want to be a tech bro or a finance person per se. But there are some cons, so let's get into that. Just like the last one, this one's also hyper competitive because when it comes to less amount of people working for these companies, that means they need the best people at all times for these clients. So if you're not the type of person who are trying to push yourself to the top 24/7, okay, 24/7, you are not going to get the client that you want. You might even get kicked out of the company because at the end of the day, they only want the people who grind the hardest, which is why they usually hire bankers and ex-finance people, anyone who has an economic degree, if you're really being honest, and a master's in business, because those are the people they can really rely on in certain cases, especially with the stock market the way it's looking right now. Anyway. And number two, you are the fixer. So like the last one, you are also the one who does everything for the client. So if you are looking at someone's stock portfolio and they are wondering how they should save money for the next 10 years to build up their stock to like $1 million plus for retirement, you must have the answer. I'm sorry for your loss. But you must have the answer, which means you are doing hours of research to make sure they understand exactly what they need to know and find out any trends in the news that might affect their portfolio for the years to come. And if you're seeing the news right now, you can understand why some bankers and some consultants might be stressing right now, which is how much the day is changing, but how much the economy is fixing towards what is happening in the news right now. And that will potentially be your job if you ever decide to jump into the ship and row the boat alone. Yeah, so if that sounds like you, if you're a go-getter, if you're the kind of person who don't want anyone to touch your food, go for it because they are looking for you and they need you desperately. But let's get into number three. Now, number three is one of the most popular one in consulting since many companies have it, but this is your tech/cloud/IT consulting company. And that's also what I am in, and that is one of the most popular ones out there. And also considered one of the more traditional consulting firms out there. So this is your AWS, your Google, your Microsoft, your everything, right? This is your everything. This is the companies that you see in the news popping up every single day, talking about how they bought some stocks, how they have an AI. They're all the rage in the specific area of what they are now. But they also all have consulting firms, or they hire consulting firms from the outside and they join the company because they need help themselves, or they're looking to outsource the help to other people to make them more money, because Google isn't worth $1 billion because they know how to make a search engine. Let's just be for real. So let's get into some of these salaries because I'm sure we all know the salaries by now. It's Google. Come on. But let's talk about the salaries for entry level. So for entry level, the salary is around 150,000 to 250,000, and this is for mostly cloud and tech IT people. So if you're more likely a project manager or a scrum master, your number might be a little bit lower because you're not really touching the software as much. But if you're more of a partner or a VP, your number can look anywhere from 350 to 600 to even $1 million per year because you are having at least 10 years of experience. It's just out the gate, you're getting a lot of years of experience for these type of jobs. But obviously, the numbers are looking really lucrative and a lot more higher than how the other consulting firms I just spoke about in the past are looking. And obviously, we have really big things to explain for here. So pros, let's get into that. One, you get certifications out your butt. They are coming tenfold and they're paid for within the company. I've talked about pros of consulting all the time, and you know I'm in tech, so that is what they have. So certifications like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, all these different type of things can take you anywhere. You don't gotta work in Google to use Google Cloud certification or be a data analyst or anything like that. But you get them paid for by the company to use anywhere you want, and no matter where you go, they're always seen as the top dog certifications. We all know cybersecurity certifications, how wonderful they are. Even if they're only taught in certain corporations, they are used everywhere because it is almost universal for them to use it. Another pro is the pay, but on top of the pay, you get a nice little bonus on top of their already lucrative GOP for their client because they already know that for each client they help, maybe they get a really nice revenue of $1 billion plus, and they get that money right back to the consultants in order to help them realize this is your performance. This is what you did to help us, and this is what we want to do to appreciate you. Now, hopefully they do that because some companies, they don't. But I've heard that many of them do, and they are willing to help you. And number three is the perks. You all know what Google has in their store, and it's not just for the software developers or developers, AI W3 people. It's also for consultants, right? They want you to come in the office a lot more, and they show up these perks. They show up all the best ways for you to be there. So you have a stacked kitchen, you have massages, you have all these discounts, and you definitely have the benefit of using whatever free tools they have to make your life outside of work better, but inside of work a lot better. But for all good things, you must pay a price. And some of the cons are showing that right now. So as before, we all know that the hours that they work is anywhere from 40 hours to 80 hours, depending on what kind of consultant they are. But because we talk about more about tech, we are staking within the MLs, machine learning, AI, W3, good stuff, right? And because of that, you are working weekends, maybe holidays, maybe it's the end of the Q4 and you have to really push. So you're not really thinking about staying home anytime soon or leaving the office anytime soon. So yes, those free snacks, they do come in handy a lot of times. And number two, because this is a hyper competitive space, you're also fighting for space for clients from other people who work there as well. Because I also said this is more of a traditional consulting versus the other one they're talking about, especially private equity or management consulting, you are fighting against like literally thousands of other consultants who are looking for the same client you're looking for, and you all have to be the top dog just to get with this client. So if you can't fight your way to the top, you will be shown to the ground and you will drown and you will leave, and you'll be forced to go into another big consulting company or lower yourself down to a smaller one in order to have more for yourself. So while we love tech around here and I love this industry, it does get difficult to look for those projects and stay afloat sometimes because you're always fighting against the wave with the many people who are as qualified and more resourceful than you. But hey, we are all right. We are all right around here. Okay, so let's get to number 4 for our next consulting. But this is your healthcare/life science consulting. Now you might be wondering why this is not just a typical consulting firm that's within these branches, but because healthcare is a really huge industry as its own, you know, everyone heard of Big Pharma. They deserve their own category because everything they do is so different than like the automotive, the manufacturing. There aren't really any specific companies that have it because many companies may work within the life science or healthcare field because everyone is getting a government contract these days. It's really hard to pinpoint one company that has it forever just for that one thing, right? And it's really big to work for at the same time. but the salary is still looking nice, around $150,000 to $300,000 just for an entry level. And then for partners, it's anywhere from $300,000 to $600,000 per year, which is really nice considering that you're not really working in like a really big field, but you are really still needed. So let's get to some of the pros. You have plenty of clients to choose from because Big Pharma is big in many regards. So you may not want to work for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Maybe you want to work for Athena. Maybe you want to work for Cisco. You have all these other companies to choose from as a client. So you may not personally want to work for one or the other. You don't have to be lower yourself to a box because you're like one of 10 people who might work for that client. So you got your pick of the choosing. And also, because it's less competitive, you don't have to fight very hard or be at the top of the crop to get these clients. But of course, saying that, some of the cons can be, because it's very extremely niche of a consulting job, it's very hard to break away from these type of jobs into finding yourself into a new job. So yes, you are a consultant by your own right, but you are used to doing FDA regulations, compliance things, making sure everything's up to safety things. So you might not be able to go from like FDA to like tech, for example. It is a huge learning curve, and you might need security clearance for a lot of these jobs that you can't really take anywhere else. So your security clearance is only a day pass, if we're really being honest. So you are looking yourself to being only in FDA for a very long time. And maybe if you branch out, you're lucky to go somewhere else that might be more of a startup that might want to do more in life science, but don't want to touch the nitty-gritty paperwork. But you might be in it for a long haul for this one, if we're being honest. And the second con that I already kind of talked about is that it's really, really boring. If you think paperwork is bad, imagine doing that for your entire job and nothing else. And that is what healthcare / life science consulting literally is about. Obviously, you're not in the lab helping them make the medicine or the technology or chemicals, obviously. So you have to do a lot of compliance for the FDA, which is, the biggest people that are checking anything that has anything to do with drugs and food. That's their whole brand. So you obviously are doing paperwork 24/7 up your, So if you are willing to do that, go for it. You might like it. Maybe you don't want to be talking to people as much because you won't have time. But if you don't like it very much, let's get to number 5 and see if you might change your mind about choosing consulting as a job. So number 5, executive compensation. Now, this may not sound like a real typical type of consulting company for you. And let me tell you, it's not typical, okay? First of all, the entry salary level is anywhere from $150K to $300K if you're starting out. Now, granted, starting out in this type of position is not entry level. This is up to like 5 years of experience prior to you even starting a consulting firm within yourself. So entry level for this case, you might need to go somewhere else before you choose this one, but it'll be worth it in the long run. And then if you're a VP or director, you are looking anywhere from $300K to $1 million upwards yearly. And that's without your bonus, without your extra benefits, without anything. It's just $1 million. Who doesn't like $1 million? But with this type of company and with this type of clients, you are looking for a lot more clients for a lot less people, which goes with the same con as I said before, is that they are looking to you to do everything for them. And if you screw up, you are literally taking up for them. But wait, I literally did not talk about the type of companies you will actually see when you're doing executive compensation. So what kind of consulting jobs would you see for this type of project? And the answer is all of them. All of them. All of them have an executive position that they're looking for. That is why the entry level does not start at entry. It starts at professional or even executive level. And then executive level is just the president level, right? You're basically CEO. You can make it have a money, or you're the VP at the very least. So every company from tech to management to private equity, they're all needing executives. This one is obviously its own case because you are doing different things for the client that's very different than the entry level or real entry level. Just doing coding for like consulting and a tech consulting job. So your job might be more of meetings all day versus I'm going to sit down and talk to you about how your code is going. So the same cons, the same pros, high pay, a lot more stress. You are the fixer. You are the first to be blamed if anything goes wrong because you are getting paid a CEO salary, so you must act like a CEO even if you got the title. But hey, listen, if you're up there and you're looking for a consulting role for yourself or for your family or for anyone out there who's looking to learn more, check out my videos because I have a whole channel, right? I have a whole playlist of videos I have made so far. I think I have 3 or 4, and this is just the newest one. So obviously I am in an IT consulting, and my pros and cons are very similar to the pros and cons I just listed, but obviously it's a lot more rewarding than it is not, because I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't. I mean, I probably would, but realistically I can jump ship and go somewhere else, but I love it here, so I have no reason to go anywhere else for right now. And you can honestly choose your own site. It doesn't have to be step in stone consulting. So yes, you heard the long means, you heard of the hours on your computer, and you heard of people staying on their online all weekend. It's not always true, it's not always correct, but if you want a bigger salary, it comes with bigger responsibilities, okay? That's all I have for today. Link down below if you have your own consulting jobs that you want to talk about, or you want me to make a part 2 of this one. Maybe talk about the lowest 5 consulting jobs you don't want to take, or like the worst consulting job you don't want to take, or have been really failing in the past. Let me know what you want to do, because this is actually kind of a fun series, and I'm actually having a fun time doing this. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, so that you'll miss a day of me posting. Because my next video will be next week. It'll be a juicy one. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.